with you some of the tools and materials I love using in my creative artwork, and my hope for you is that it may inspire you to perhaps invest in some materials or tools that you haven't really thought about, that's not part of your existing creative toolkit. And let's dive right in. So first, we're going to start with looking at some Faber-Castell pens. Faber-Castell is one of my favorite go-to brands. So here we have these pens, and some of these pens have a fine point and others have like a brush tip. So I personally find it wonderful to do figurative pen work. So this is definitely something you may consider buying, and I'll try and pop in the link in the description. Next thing is, this is a little notebook that I purchased I think it was at Prado Museum in Madrid. And over here we see Goya's artwork here, a very famous one. And so because it's really tiny, I do a lot of my kind of pen sketches here. Now, when I travel, I usually like to, instead of taking a photo, I like to do a quick sketch of where I am. It really helps me to be present in that particular location and really immerse myself in the environment and take it all in. And so this is Park Retiro, again, I believe, if memory serves me well, either in Madrid or Barcelona. Yeah, so look it up where Park Retiro is. That's where I was. This is another little scribble of Park Retiro. Now, this one is just a colored pencil study of a fox. So you can see very close up. And this one has been done with Papermate ballpoint pen. I absolutely love Papermate. They're so cheap. You can buy a set of four for what, $5 from Coles. And this is for viewers located in Australia. I'm located in Sydney, Australia. So I'll be giving you some suggestions of where to buy these materials. So this is another study I did, which was inspired by Michelangelo's work. So again, this is a really tiny visual journal, and I would really recommend that you may consider, well, investing in one of these, because they're so portable. You can just have them in your pocket and you can make little studies, especially if you are very much interested in figurative drawings. This will really help you hone your skills, because you can be waiting in a train station, in the bus stop, or wherever you might be waiting, and you can make a quick study of whoever is around you, and it's an excellent source for you to craft your skill. Next one I want to show you is, once again, my favorite brand, Faber-Castell. Don't worry, Faber-Castell are not paying me anything extra to promote their products, but I absolutely love them. I think I move between Faber-Castell and Derwent when it comes to pens and pencils. So I'm gonna scoot right over here and show you in the other camera the other materials that I've got. Hi everyone, so now I want to show you some of the surfaces that I tend to use. So first of all, for acrylic, watercolor, pen and pencil, I really love this brand. You can buy it from Amazon. Okay. And this is about 300 GSM, so the paper is quite thick. So I want to show you some of the work I've done on this. I also recommend that you buy one of these sheets. You can buy them in packs so that your charcoal work is not going to stick to the other side of the page. So look at that, Now this particular portrait I did was inspired by the TV show Hannibal. It's probably my favorite TV show with Mads Mikkelsen playing Hannibal Lecter. And this is a portrait of Will Graham. I can't remember the actual actor's name, but I absolutely love his character on the show. So this was a tribute to that character. I'm mostly inspired by a lot of TV show and movie. I'm a huge film buff. So yes, I draw a lot of inspiration for my artwork from film and television. Okay, so on this particular one, I want to show you something that I just started. So what I did with this one, I was using graphite and I was also using a little bit of watercolor. I think I used a little bit of watercolor colored pencil. So what you can do is you can also use a brush to spread that effect outward, and then you can also, on top of the graphite, you can potentially use a little bit of pen. So if I was to use pen, I would potentially use these guys. So mostly I might go with a 1.5 over here. Maybe 1.5, but not quite the correct tip. So maybe the extra small one. Let's see. Yeah, this one, something like that. I would use on top of that. Okay. Next up, what I want to show you, I've had this is probably one of my favorite visual journals. And you can buy this from Eckersley's. Again, they're based in York Street in Sydney, Australia, for Australian viewers. I usually do a lot of my shopping for art materials at Eckersley's. So this one, because this particular journal is about 260 GSM, but I've done a lot of experimenting. So I used a syringe and one of these for the red color, okay, just to create this bloody effect. And in the middle, it's like you can buy rolls of plaster, and then the plaster is very easy to stick on. So this could be a process work where you're exploring the woundedness in your body, and or maybe after an accident you may want to express whatever emotional distress, fear, overwhelm you're experiencing through an artwork like this. I think I was going through something, so I was wanting to experiment that. Okay, this one is ideation of a piece that I was thinking of creating, like a vanitas piece, using paper mache, using kind of plaster as well. And this was another drawing that I did, because again I'm thinking of, you know, different compositions for the vanitas piece. This is with airbrush, again just experimenting with airbrush. This one was a leopard that I did. First I did that with a colored pencil, and then I think I was using ink with a brush to paint the rest. And this is also just using my hands, just experimenting with airbrush. Bit of a collage work. And this one was done with charcoal and graphite. I think I don't have that much more from here. And I also want to show you this brand. You can get it on Amazon. This is an A2 size, so if you're running out of space at home with all this stretched canvas sitting there, this is a really good alternative, because you can create. So yeah, as you can see, this one is an oil painting that I created on here, and hopefully I hope to share more of my work with you. But let me show you another one. So this one is a pad. I love pads because they're so convenient. This is for pastel. I use Strathmore, and this is about 118 GM. So this was a portrait. This was also with pastel. This is just a figure study that I did, where it was kind of just creating a flow with a bit of yin and yang motif happening here. I think it's called Tsunami, so the wave, I've just gotten it around. I think it creates an interesting composition. And then finally, I was really happy with this one. It's an angel, and it's done with charcoal and a bit of graphite, mostly 6B, 8B that I started with, and then moved on to charcoal. And then there is also this one that I did. As you can see, it's also with charcoal. A very soft, as you can see, it's a very softer kind of effect that I'm going for here. Okay, so here we have a number of things. So this one I want to show you This is a really tiny Winslow Aquarelle watercolor postcard size pad, which is fantastic because you can create a quick watercolor portrait or drawing or artwork and then use it as a postcard, and this will really personalize your communication with your loved ones or not so loved ones, I'm not sure. So yeah, I wanted to show you this brand for oil paint. I find them a lot cheaper, and in terms of quality, they're not really bad. Obviously, Winsor & Newton is the best one, but they are quite pricey. So Reeves Eckersley's on York Street in the city, in Sydney CBD, they do stock this brand. So I buy a lot of items either at Eckersley's, and unless Eckersley's got a sale, I try to source them from Amazon. Now this is a masking fluid. They're quite interesting if you're creating, say you want to block off certain areas in the watercolor artwork you're creating, and then so you do the drawing blocking off with masking fluid, do your watercolor painting, and then once the watercolor is dry you can take the masking fluid off. They're fairly easy to take off, and that would give you something very, very unique. This is a sandpaper I use quite a lot, so basically I might be just making my graphites a little bit more pointier or whatever it is I'm wanting to do. Yeah, so this is a must-have for anyone who is working a lot with graphites and pencils. Once again, surprise, surprise, Faber-and-Castell makes an appearance. So here we have Faber-and-Castell. It's got only 5 graphite, so some of them are around here. So I love having everything kind of here, so it's easy for me to locate them. And this one is 4B, HB, and 2B. Now ideally I'd like to use a paper cutter to sharpen my graphites, but sometimes I also get lazy. So in those moments, using this Darwin sharpener is fantastic, and you actually do have a clamp, so you can fix this on the edge of a table so that it doesn't move, and then you basically hold it like this, pop in your pencil, and then go clockwise to sharpen it. So this is really good. Okay. Something just fell, but that's okay. Okay, sometimes fiddle with it a little bit before it goes back in. Alright, I'll sort this out later on, but it's just being temperamental at the moment. No worries, that happens. Okay, alright, let's get rid of that. Okay, next thing I want to show you, this is my airbrush. Well, one of them anyway. I've got another airbrush that's about 20 years old. So this is made in America, and this one is, I don't know if you can see the brand name. Okay, without my glasses I can't see, but maybe you can. But this one's pretty old too, so I'm actually trying to sell this one because I no longer do a lot of analog airbrushing because of lack of space. And when you're using airbrush, highly recommend you get one of these. This helps with medium flow, because sometimes instead of using inks, you might be using acrylic, you know. And when you're using acrylic, you want to make sure that the acrylic flows properly through the airbrush nozzle. And now this is one of my favorite things. It's my Winsor & Newton, this really super tiny miniature watercolor set. Absolutely love it. I mean, how cute is it? Look at that. And this brush actually isn't too bad. So if you don't have any extra watercolor brushes, you know, no worries. You can still use that. So this is fantastic. I usually have a little spray bottle of water and I put whatever color, spray it, and then, yeah, mix the color. And yeah, so I use this to create that. Okay, just letting you know. All right, so there is that. In terms of erasers, you must have one of these, Faber-and-Castell, but it's a kneading eraser, okay? So these are fantastic because you can tear off chunks of it and make it all pointy and everything. And it helps you with really detailed works. What else? You may want to invest in a compass, especially if you want to, say you want to draw a mandala. So using a compass will make you have a proper circle instead of trying to draw one. If you're working with airbrush, then you also need to create all these, you know, you need to create your own stuff like this. I mean, you can buy this or you can make it on your own with a scalpel. So I'll leave it up to you to decide. If you're feeling particularly lazy, not wanting to make some on your own, I use these. I haven't, as you can see, these are kind of, this one I've used with the acrylic. This one I've used, this is still kind of unused. I also bought some of these as well. Mind you, these are all available on Amazon, so love Amazon. Now this is another one. If you want to do some collage work, and if you manage to go to Japan, or maybe you go to one of the Japanese shops and see if you can get one of these things. These are really interesting to use in collage work. So maybe this will give you some ideas about being creative with them. Okay, I'll pop this out later. This one, markers, if you want to draw with Sharpies, and if you are doing some figurative work, these are all flesh toned, which is fantastic. So I haven't used them yet, as you can see, but I will. Next thing, I really love these metallic color pencils. Okay, so I actually use the metallic pencils in creating this work. Okay, so I mean, obviously I use more than the gray and blue. I used I think it's gray or silver I should say. I also use some gold in there, green, purple, yeah, and I think some of them might be in here somewhere, but yeah, So highly recommend the color grip. So these helps to add the grip. So they are available on Amazon. I highly recommend buying these, experimenting with these, and you can create something quite beautiful. Okay, especially if you're creating portraits with a darker skin tone, I think you can create some really excellent work. Right, now this, I purely bought this because A, it was on special, and Faber-and-Castell. I do have an obsession with Faber-and-Castell stuff. So there you go. We are all weird in our own unique way. Yeah, but you'll be surprised that you can potentially use these crayons if you're mixing it with something like watercolor colored pencils. Okay, I really love these. It's no mess, no fuss. You know, all you need is a little tub of water, and you just dip the watercolor pencils, and then you have, so you can see I've used a lot of these, so they've been used well, and I will show you. Okay, so let's look at this one. This is Study of a Year, and I've actually been experimenting. So over here, what you can see is actually the crayon. So this is the watercolor colored pencils. As you can see, there's a little bit of kind of watery effect that's happening. But this one I didn't dip the pencil, so you can still see the sharper kind of mark making. But yeah, so this is all done in the watercolor pad. These you can find in any Chinese shop, like $2 shop or whatever, and they are very, very cheap. So buy something. Monte Carlo is a very affordable brand, so I would buy Monte Carlo stuff or any kind of cheaper brand for experimenting, and then you can always invest in a more expensive brand. So using those metallic colored pencil, I also created this. So this is a nude figure study. Yeah. Now I also wanted to share with you, I bought this off Amazon, and the good thing about this multimedia art journal is that this is, okay, this one is 185 gram. I think I had another one, I'll show another one with higher grams. So basically you can use watercolor, you can use other materials, and the paper won't go all heavy and soggy, okay? This one, as you can see, is 400 GSM. So again, this is something, I bought 2 of these from Amazon, and they were quite cheap, and it's ideal for acrylic and gouache. But then again, you can mix ink, you can mix graphite, you can potentially also do a collage. So yeah, there is about 12 sheets, so there you go. And see, I mostly use little, also did a little bit of face study here, a little bit of scribbling here and there, as you can see. Alrighty. Okay, so there is that one. In terms of fixative, Micador is pretty good. I've been using this for my pastel, charcoal, chalk and pencil work. It is recommended that you wear a mask when you're spraying, and ideally have the doors and windows open so that you're not in a room with all these fumes. Next thing, these are fairly cheap, and I thought I haven't used these, but look at all the colors. Look at all the different colors. So, you know, there's pink, lighter pink, lavender, darker pink, red, orange, yellow. So sky's the limit. I mean, I'm thinking I can either use pastel on this. There's a little bit of texture, so yeah. You know, most of the pastel work pads are so expensive. These might be a really cheap alternative if you just want to start out work with pastel. Okay. I think I bought this on Amazon. All right. Now, okay, last but not least, I also want to show you, I actually like Gorilla Glue. They're not bad. Like if you need to use glue, they're not bad. But at the same time, for any kind of collage work, this is less messy probably. I don't know, that's just my personal preference. And look at this. This is super cute. This is so tiny. This is like, in order to do your miniature, either oil or acrylic painting. Super tiny. Look how tiny it is. I mean, compared to this. This is already tiny, postcard size, and this is like